President Moon Jae-in marked the start of the final year in office with a special address. The South Korean leader vowed to use the remainder of the term to reach an irreversible peace on the peninsula and highlighted priorities at next week's summit with U.S. President Joe Biden. Minji has our top story.
The last opportunity to establish irreversible peace on the Korean Peninsula. That's how President Moon Jae-in defined his final year in office during a special address on Monday to mark the 4th anniversary of his inauguration. Moon said it's now time for action after a long period of deliberation. This comes ahead of his summit with U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington on May 21st.
올 하순 예정된 한미 정상회담을 통해 한미 동맹을 굳건히 다지는 한편 대북 정책을 더욱 긴밀히 조율하여 남과 북, 미국과 북한 사이의 대화를 복원하고 평화협력의 발걸음을 다시 내딛기 위한 길을 찾겠습니다.
The South Korean leader welcomed the U.S. policy review on North Korea, calling it a flexible, gradual, and practical approach that builds upon the foundations laid by the Singapore Declaration. There have been no significant developments on the denuclearization front since the Hanoi summit between North Korea and the U.S. in 2019. Moon said he will not be pressured by time or become impatient during the remainder of his term, but said he will do everything he can if there is a chance to advance the peace process, and called for a positive response from North Korea.
북한의 이런저런 반응이 있었지만 그 북한의 반응이 그 대화를 거부한 것이라고 생각하지 않습니다. 다시 한 번 더 이렇게 마주 앉아서 협의할 수 있는 기회가 주어진 만큼 북한이 호응하기를 기대합니다.
Another goal during the remainder of his tenure is overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. The president said more than 13 million South Koreans will be given vaccines in the first half of this year and pledged continued efforts to procure more vaccines. It is speculated the vaccine procurement may also be on the table during the Moon-Biden summit. President Moon said it was a shame that South Korea couldn't start vaccinations sooner, but reassured the public that the government's inoculation program is going as scheduled. He said the government is aiming to give first shots to all those eligible by the end of September and achieve herd immunity before the current target of November. Minji, Arirang News.